Hello everyone, and welcome back here to another edition of The Light Between Us, which is exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our partnership with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. I am here with Nick Ganis and myself, Dan Tortora, of course, here with you in our very special series, The Light Between Us, which goes beyond what you would know of a chicken sandwich, of these waffle fries, of all the great stuff that Chick-fil-A has, goes far beyond to teach you about the team. This is very unique though, because Nick is not a team member of Chick-fil-A, but he's a team member of Team Jimmer Sikowski, the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. So first and foremost, Nick, how are you?
I'm well and blessed today. Great day to be alive. Can't complain.
So your story of connecting with this Chick-fil-A family is unique. How did you first link up with Jimmer?
Yeah, so I moved here to the area about 2.5 years ago, and I've been a missionary since then. And my one of my associates, I guess you could say, one of my missionary friends' boyfriend is Jimmer's physical therapist. So when they were looking around for someone to help him out, he just recommended me. So kind of wound up here.
You said you've been here for 2.5 years, missionary work. How did you connect yourself with that?
Oh gosh, well, I had like a kind of a reversion to the faith, so to speak.
Okay.
My going into my senior year of high school, and I had a full ride scholarship to Russell. I had everything set out for me, but yeah, just didn't feel right in me. So I was like, you know what? I'll take 1 year. I'll give back. I'll give back a little bit. And now, like 3 years later, I'm still here. The Lord's good. Keeps calling me back. So.
Where were you going to wrestle?
Benedictine College out in Hutchinson, Kansas.
In Kansas, okay.
So not as cool as New York. It's still kind of cool.
So how did you hear God's voice when you were going to have this full ride to go wrestle? What was it that you heard, that you felt, that called you to do something else?
Yeah, I think in my, for a long time I struggled with just really not liking myself, a lot of self-hatred. And it was going into my senior year, was an absolute jerk to a lot of people, and I went on this retreat, classic textbook conversion story. But these two guys prayed over me, and they flipped open the Bible, put it on my lap, and it was Isaiah 43:4. It says, "Because you are precious and honored in my eyes, because I love you, I'll give nations in exchange for you, peoples in exchange for your life." And blew me away. Started bawling, crocodile tears just coming down. And ever since then, really just learned to see the suffering and there's a gift. Tried to start living outside of myself, so to speak. And so when I felt that movement in my heart of maybe wrestling, the scholarships, everything that the world tells me I should want, maybe that's not for me.
You said you were mean to other people, you were mean to yourself. Where did all that come from?
Yeah, let's see. Gosh, I don't know how juicy you want me to get on this here.
Wherever you want to go. It's comfortable.
Let it rip. I'm in New Jersey in the inner city. Somebody asked me that question.
Yeah, whatever you want to say. I mean, as comfortable as you feel.
All right, well, I'm an authentic guy. So, yeah, since the 7th grade, I just struggled with suicidal thoughts and wanting to give up. And 7th grade, my first girlfriend, her name was Riley, got me out of my shell. I know these wasps are gonna got me out of my shell. It's cold outside. I know. I don't know what they're doing. It's summer's over. It's fall now.
It's their last chance to sting somebody.
Yeah, seriously, they're out for blood.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Sorry. Back to the story. Basically, this girl Riley, I saw her as a super kind, generous, joyful person. She loved the Lord and got me out of my shell, changed me from an introvert to an extrovert.
Yeah.
Found out a couple months after we broke up, as most 7th grade relationships have. She took her own life, and that just super hard on me, and just made me feel if this girl who I saw she had everything, if she couldn't be happy, how was I supposed to be? Other traumas like that, I lost some people in car accidents, experimented with bad coping mechanisms, but really just found joy in the Lord and healing there, and Jesus changed my life. Really why I'm here.
So you look back on that, like you said, you're being an open book, and I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I've shared on the show before that I considered taking my life multiple times, and
Thanks for fighting through that.
Well, you too, and I think that people say, why would you share that? And I said, because, you see somebody, I mean, people see me, they know I love God, I like to smile, I like to make people laugh, I like to joke around. So it's like, well, why would you share that? Because people need to know that first thought that I had maybe at 14, I'm 36 now. And so, I think people need to see that if you've gone through that and you've gotten through that 22 years later,
Amen.
Why would you not share that? Because anybody who's considering doing that to themselves now is thinking, I'm not happy, I have nothing.
Yeah.
So people that have considered that, for us to sit on this screen and both tell you, like, we thought about it, we didn't do it, and you are not a nothing, you do have something. I feel like people that have made it past that should share it, because we have to show you that's watching and listening right now that there is a tomorrow. There is another day. There are many reasons to live, and it's never worth it. And to just show the happier side of things is not good enough, because everybody looks happy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about, like, just like identity and like not who you are, because really that's like what really changed everything for me. Is you see, like, the bad, you've probably been like the things you did wrong, or the lies you tell yourself, like that becomes your identity.
Yeah.
But really what changed the ball game for me is like this ministry I joined, their slogan was "You're amazing," right? And so all of a sudden, like, it changed things. Like, okay, Nicholas Ganis is not, his mess ups, his sins, his mistakes. Nicholas Ganis is a child of God.
Yeah.
Going back to that was just game changer for me.
And I think I allowed other people's speak of me to become my speaking to myself. And I came up with something recently, and people know on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, I try to write these messages, and when I write the messages, if they're from me and they're my quotes, I sign every one of them individually, and I put them on my story.
That's awesome.
And I said, how can I expect this world to be kind to me all the time, nice to me all the time, know who I am, and celebrate who that is if they killed Jesus? And it just hit me. I was like, they killed my king, so why would I expect them to be good to me? And that just spoke to me, that I complain about, this is how I was treated in a relationship, this is how my friend treated me, this is how somebody, a total stranger, or somebody on social media. And when you sit back and you think, they killed perfection, they tried to take the life of perfection, they nailed perfection to a cross, why would I expect better than that? And it just made me stop and say, no one's putting me on a cross, so what am I complaining about? I guess is really what I took from it. If they're willing to hurt perfection that died for you, then why wouldn't they hurt me?
Yeah, and I think it's like a huge consolation. Like, I think we as Christians love the resurrection, right? Like, we're all about, like, yeah, Jesus is risen. Like, let the good times roll. But I think, like, there's definitely something to be said for the cross and, like, suffering, because what we've been through, your pain, those things, that's like what links you to Jesus Christ crucified. Is like, you've been hurt, Jesus has been hurt, and you can say, I felt hated, he was definitely hated up on that cross
for doing nothing.
Yeah, it's powerful to that's suffering. Like, I would go so far as to say, like, my suicidal thoughts for me, like, it's probably the greatest gift I've received, because if I didn't have those, A, I wouldn't be as sensitive as I am now, and B, that's like a direct link to, like, that suffering, that pain is a direct link to the joy that Jesus had for me, dying for me.
Yeah, thinking you can't go on, thinking you can't make it. And, I think it's so important in life to see that, even perfection, even God, in personified in Jesus Christ, even he needed someone to help him carry the cross. And even he needed Simon. And so,
and he was persecuted on top of that.
Yeah.
Like, if they're gonna hate Jesus, they're definitely gonna hate me.
And they released a murderer in exchange for Jesus. They released someone back into humanity that was bad, and just punished perfection. And I look back on that and I'm like, you know what? Instead of staring and focusing, which I did, I focused so much time on my cross, I now focus my time on the people that pick it up with me. You know, Jimmer. And the many people that while I've been walking have picked up that cross. And so I think about that, and then I think about the other side of it. When I sin, when I'm not perfect, when I do things wrong, I always say to Jesus, I'm going to make your cross lighter. Like, I'm not going to keep making the same mistakes because your cross is heavy because of us, and I need to make that lighter for you.
Amen.
So I focus on that when I'm not perfect is, you know what, I need to make this lighter to bear because I know that he's going to carry it.
Yeah.
And no matter what I say, he's going to carry it. And I need to do what I can to make it not as heavy as I have made it for him at times.
And well put. I think, especially what you said about like helping him carry the cross and helping, you know, obviously like we're called to like love God and our neighbor, and like helping our neighbors carry a cross. I think that's like such a beautiful thing because like you and me, like we're healed, right? Like God has like redeemed us. He's brought it like so far. But it's so like now that we've been healed, like we're called to go out and like help those people carry their cross, like you're saying. Yeah. And it's something just so profound. I think in like what you're saying about carrying the cross is like, you know, Mark 8:32, right? Like anyone who wishes to come after me must first deny himself, take up his cross, follow me. It's like not only do we have to carry our own cross, but like we're supposed to help others carry their cross. I don't know. Life's about the cross. Like it's all about carrying that cross for Jesus.
And about, you know, deciding where you want to be. You know, do you want to be the heavy cross on his shoulder, or do you want to be the friend that's helping him carry it? You know, you have to make that decision of who you want to be. Do you want to be the cross, or do you want to be the one that helps to carry that? And I think anybody that's out there that's considering taking your life or taking someone else's life, or feel that you can't go on or you can't make it, we're living proof that you can get past that.
You got this.
And that there's so much more to life than somebody else's opinion of you, or a relationship that went bad, or, you know, maybe a family member that doesn't respect you, or somebody that passed away. It's never worth saying goodbye prematurely. And I had a friend that committed suicide, and I can honestly tell you that you don't leave anybody that loves you with any type of closure. I mean, they're seeking closure when they go to do that, right? I'm done, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But he left all of us wondering what he could have been, what life could have been, what conversations together could have been, how he could have helped. You leave your loved ones in more pain than the pain I think you endured. And that wave of pain is not worth it. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that anyone's pain is not big or not difficult, or that you can't sit here and tell me all the millions of things that have happened to you and think, you know, I want to give up. But if God woke you up today, that wasn't by accident. And he most certainly didn't wake you up to complain. He didn't wake you up to fear. He didn't wake you up to be lost. And just reach out to people. Reach out to people. And I just think you got to try.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you know, I mean, listen, being in the pain, and you can say this too, you can talk yourself into believing there is nothing that's going to get better.
Yep.
But 22 years later, it's a million times better. I deal with life better now. I'm not perfect
Living
with it.
proof right here.
And here.
Yeah.
You know, there is life beyond what your brain is telling you can't do.
Yeah.
You got to let this guide, not this. There's a reason why they say have 10% control of, you know, we only use 10% of our brains, because it is a different, and suicide to me, when my friend committed it, was described as, they said, Dan, you know how you control your brain? And I said, yeah. They said suicide is when it flips and your brain controls you.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to look at what you're ingesting, the people you're around, the situations you're involving yourself with, and the habits that you have, because those create some of those lethal thoughts.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm sorry about your friend passing away. I want
I'm sorry about
to
yours too.
Yeah, I want to give proper reverence to that because I know how hard that can
To find out somebody that you love has died is hard. And then 3 days later to find out it was at their own hand because we didn't know. So it was like I had to lose him twice. And, Jay was the reason why I went to Marywood University. He was the majority of the reason why I chose that school. And, I wish he was here because the teachers, some of the other teachers that were there were so far from him, it was sad. So, I wish Jay would have stuck around and taught some more of us because he would have changed others' lives like he changed mine. And I think that wherever he is, and God willing in heaven, he needs to know that, he did so many things for me, and he would have done so much for so many other people if he would have stuck around. And nobody like him still to this day. No teacher like him.
I beat you guys.
I definitely, something that helped me, like, after Riley, somebody had me, like, write a letter to her, and then also to other people in my life that I knew wanted to give up. Because I think, like, let's just be real, the stats are over quarantine that 1 in 4 people seriously thought about, like, giving up on life. So pretty much everybody knows somebody.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that really helped me to kind of get those, like, emotions out. And also the Bible, because that's, like, the truth right there. So when the lies in your head are so overwhelming, you can, like, cling to the truth at the same time. Because, I still carry some of those thoughts with me, but it's all about, like, waking up every day and, like, no, I choose joy, right? Like, joy is a choice, love is a choice, I can choose the truth.
Happiness is a choice. And I'm sorry about Riley, very much so. And, and it's funny that you wrote a letter, not funny, but ironic that you wrote a letter because after Jay passed away, I wrote an email to him and just needed him to read it, and something inside of me told me that he saw it. I don't know how, but I just felt like he did. So, I appreciate, it was just something about writing a letter.
Yeah. And what a huge, just like, don't wait till they're gone to write a letter, because I've received letters before, and like, oh my gosh, so encouraging. Like, it takes courage to encourage, but when you do encourage that person, oh my gosh, so life-changing.
Well, and I went on a search retreat, and on that retreat, people could write letters to you. And the first time I went, like, almost nobody had written a letter. I don't think a lot of people knew about, like, oh, we can write them. And then when I was a team leader, the next time I went, I got a letter from my dad who doesn't really say the stuff out loud. And I remember finding all those letters recently. We were cleaning out the basement where my dad is, where I grew up. And I found all the letters, and I don't even know how I misplaced them. And I found all these letters, and I read the letter back to him, and he looked at me, and before I said that it was from him, and he looked at me and he goes, I know that was my letter. I know what I said to you. And it was so cool that, like, I got to read that to him while we're both alive and thank him again in person.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so cool. Yeah,
I like your phone case.
Thank you, appreciate it. What'd you say?
I just said gratuity, man. So much goes back to that.
And it's such an amazing thing, and what you do for Jimmer to be by his side and to just help him, and that he's humbled himself to allow that help, I think in and of itself is jumping over a giant hurdle to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, help me, grab a drink for me, put the straw in my mouth, because Jimmer is such a person who gives, that to allow himself to receive has been beautiful. What's your journey been like with him?
Oh gosh, it's been powerful. It's like, I'm a big believer that, like, God uses everything in your life to, like, prepare you for certain things. And I really believe, like, God used, my past, my sufferings, my time as a missionary, to prepare me to, like, help care for Jimmer, to help be there for him, because, like, that's, like, my greatest fear. Like, what he's going through, I don't know about you, but, like, to not be able to, like, move and, like, do small tasks like that, that's, like, my greatest fear.
Yeah.
So just, like, being able to be there for him and not just encourage him, but also have him encourage me, it's, like, such a powerful thing like God's allowed me to do, and
Yeah.
I get so much out of it. I get so much out of it, just being with him, being a part of his life, seeing his humility, his leadership, his joy amidst suffering. Because it's, there's a lot of days like we cry, right? There's a real authentic man is sensitive and cries, and Jimmer, certainly does that. But it's a huge honor and a huge grace for me to like be there with him in that. Huge blessing for me. So.
What is it like to help him bear this? We talk about bearing a cross. What is it like to help carry him?
Yeah, one thing is it's a joy, honestly. Like, so much joy in the cross. Just in the sense of, like, I can wake up and I might be sore, I might be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it sounds bad, but like, well, at least I'm not Jimmer, because Jimmer wakes up and he can't move. He wakes up.
So
and
the
he can't
appreciation
move.
for it.
And so there's so much there of like, wow. It sounds cliche, but I can walk. I can move my arms around like this. I'm not even Italian, but I'm talking with my hands.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so honestly, to answer your question, just like such a joy. There's hard days, but it's a huge blessing, huge honor. And the guy's amazing, for sure.
What has he taught you?
I think one of the biggest things, so firstly, on a practical level, like, he's taught me a lot of like leadership qualities. Just in not being afraid to have the hard conversations, particularly like hiring people. He hires very good people here, and I can see like that process, how he does that. So that's been really cool. I think a huge thing that Jimmer's taught me, though, on a more deep, profound level, is just the importance of like spending time with your kids.
Yeah.
Like, I could sing all sorts of accolades about how well he's done, working in this business and accomplishing things, but what I'm most impressed by in him is his fatherhood. Because I think you can be a great business leader and a terrible father, and we know which one's more important, right?
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot from him about just being involved in your kids' lives. Being a good husband, too, because it's easy to be a bad husband and a good father.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. It's easy to be a good business owner and a bad parent, and it's easy to be a good father or mother, but a bad spouse, or a good spouse, but a bad parent. I mean, you have to really know. I mean, they say when you get married, remember that you're a spouse first.
Yeah.
And then you're a parent, and then
if you love your wife, the kids will take care of themselves.
Yeah, so it's, to know,
Happy wife, happy life.
love God, love your spouse, love your kids, love your job, and put it in that order.
Yeah.
And don't lose yourself amidst all of that, which is a daily chore. It's a daily process to not lose yourself,
So worth it. Yep.
Words of advice in closing to anybody that is out there right now that doesn't know God, that doesn't know positivity, that doesn't really know where to go from here. What would you say?
I'd say two things. First, I'd say, remember you're amazing, not because of what you do or what's happened to you, but because of who you are, and who you are as a son, a daughter, a husband, a father, a wife, and at the end of the day, a child of God that can never be taken away. If you remember that, that's half your problems will take care of themselves. Then I would say, secondarily, read the Bible, man. If you don't know where to go, don't know what to do, flip to that, first gospel, flip to those, New Testament letters. They're easy to read and honestly saved my life. So read the Bible.
Read the Bible and remember that you're amazing. Nick, I appreciate so very much that you spent this time. And I feel like we barely scratched the surface of being able to do to tell the story, and I feel like there's going to be more from this, and I feel like
you'll have to have me back on sometime.
I feel like people will probably ask us more for this, because I know there's people that in the moment might have some thoughts, might have some questions, might have some pain that they want to share. And please know, on Wake Up Call, you can always do that. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, send a private message there. You can do that on Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, because it's all public. So if you have something that you need to say, you need to share, you just want a prayer, you can send it our way. And of course, come out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay for Nick and for myself. We thank you so much for being here in this edition of The Light Between Us. God bless you as always. And remember, you are amazing. Talk with you soon. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it. Talk with you soon.